Wet your hands with water. Apply soap, rub your hands palm to palm and wash the backs of both hands and in between your fingers. Then palm to palm with fingers interlocked. Clasp your hands together and rub. And then clean around the thumbs too. Rub your fingertips in the palms of your hands and finish off with the wrists. Rinse your hands really well with water and dry them thoroughly with a paper towel. Use the towel to turn off the tap. Your hands are now clean.
Hello and welcome to the class. This is Gulrez Azizi again. I hope you're doing well. Today we're going to read new chapter, which is chapter number 6 from your English book Beehive, and the chapter name is My Childhood. So whose childhood? Let's see. I'm sure all of you know about APJ Abdul Kalam. Basically, this is an extract from his books Wings of Fire, and this chapter is about APJ Abdul Kalam, and he's the narrator himself. He has narrated this. So, and he's the author himself. So he's written this, and this is an extract from his book, The Wings of Fire. I'll just read the paragraphs for you and I'll explain you. I'm sure you must be knowing that he belonged to South India and from a Tamil family. So let's read the paragraphs and we'll see. I was born into a middle-class Tamil family in the island town of Rameshwaram in the erstwhile Madras state. So, like I said, this is about APJ Abdul Kalam, and he was born into a middle-class Tamil family. His birthplace was Rameshwaram, which was an island town of Madras. Previously it was known Madras, and now it's called Chennai. My father, Jainul Abdin, had neither much formal education nor much wealth. Despite these disadvantages, he possessed great innate wisdom and a true generosity of spirit. Innate means inborn, like a quality feeling which you have from from your ancestors. And the meaning of generosity of spirit means a soul sought to help others who were needy. Means you were like a kind person willing to help people. So here, as you can see, APJ Abdul Kalam's father's name was Jainul Abdin, and according to him, he was not very rich. He did not have wealth, and he was not even highly qualified, educated. But despite of these disadvantages, he had some other qualities. He was very wise and generous, generous, kind person. He had an ideal helpmate in my mother, Ashiyama. So, further, APJ Abdul Kalam says that his father had his mate as his, like APJ Abdul Kalam's mother, whose name was Ashiyama. She used to help his father a lot. She was very good support to him. I do not recall the exact number of people she fed every day, but I'm quite certain that far more outsiders ate with us than all the members of our own family put together. So, like I said, that according to APJ Abdul Kalam, his father and mother, in fact, both parents, were very kind hearted, and every day she used to feed a lot of people. So, Abdul Kalam just compared the number of people she fed every day from outside, who were from outside, than the total member of the family members, meaning like she always fed more than their own family members to the others. I was one of many children, a short boy with rather undistinguished looks, born to tall and handsome parents. So now he is describing about his parents and himself, that he was like a common child by look wise, and which was opposite to his parents, because his parents were tall and handsome. We lived in our ancestral house, which was built in the middle of 19th century. It was a fairly large pakka house. Pakka is a Hindi word, pakka house, like which is like made of concrete and bricks and cement kind of thing. So they lived in an ancestral house, and that was built somewhere in 19th century. That house was made of limestone and bricks on the Mosque Street in Rameswaram. So Rameswaram was the town, and that house was on the Mosque Street. My austere father used to avoid all essential comforts and luxuries. However, all necessities were provided for in terms of food, medicines, or clothes. In fact, I would say mine was a very secure childhood, both materially and emotionally. Here, the word austere means simple, strict, means he's talking about his father. His father used to avoid all essential comforts and luxuries, meaning that his father was not kind of person that who wanted comforts and luxuries. So all the necessities which were like they were already provided, whatever they needed: food, medicine, clothes, and according to APJ Abdul Kalam, his childhood was kind of secure childhood in both ways, materially and emotionally. Emotionally, in the sense of like he was loving child of his parents, so he had love as well as the necessities or necessary things which he always needed or the family needed, like food, medicine, clothes, etc. The Second World War broke out in 1939 when I was 8 years old. For reasons I have never been able to understand, a sudden demand for tamarind seeds erupted in the market. I used to collect these seeds and sell them to a provision shop on Mosque Street. A day's collection would fetch me the princely sum of 1 anna. Tamarind seeds is a kind of fruit, basically uh, in Hindi is called imli. I'll show you the picture of tamarind seeds. So what APJ Abdul Kalam is describing is the time of the Second World War, which was broken out in 1939 when he was only 8 years old. And he never understood that why the tamarind seeds were in quite demand in the market. And he used to collect the seeds of tamarind and sell them to provision shop on the Mosque Street. So every day he was earning like 1 anna. 1 anna is like a unit of rupees in old days, like we have paisa. So in old Indian coin, worth about 6 paise. My brother-in-law Jalaluddin would tell me stories about the war which I would later attempt to trace in the headlines in Dina Money. Dina Money, the word here is about a Tamil daily newspaper. So that newspaper, like we have here, Times of India, Indian Express. So in that state, in that time, they had the newspaper called Dinamani. So his brother-in-law, whose name was Jalaluddin, he used to tell him stories about the war, and later on, APJ Abdul Kalam would trace those news, those stories in the headlines in that newspaper. Our area, being isolated, was completely unaffected by the war, but soon India was forced to join the Allied forces and something like a state of emergency was declared. The word isolated means like which gets cut off from the other part of world or area. So Rameswaram, the small town, it was far away because it was an island, so it was far away from land. So it was not affected by the world war which was going on in the beginning. But later on, India had to join the war combined with the Allied forces. So Allied forces, the word here is for the armies of UK, USA and Russia, and these countries were fighting with the force, combined force during the Second World War. So that was called Allied forces. Then a state of emergency was declared in the country, and so I don't know if you understand the word emergency here, like when the emergency is declared, so the presidential rule is implemented in the country. So no other parties, leader like Prime Minister or CM, they cannot control the state, or they cannot control the the nation. So only president's rule will be applicable or implemented. So kind of curfew in the country. You are not free to do whatever you want. So those kind of things. The first casualty came in the form of the suspension of the train halt at Rameshwaram station. Halt, like stopping for a very small period of time, means just for maybe a minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes max. So it's not proper station. So so the impact of that emergency was that train which was stopping at the Rameshwaram station, it got suspended. The newspapers now had to be bundled and thrown out from the moving train on the Rameshwaram road between Rameshwaram and Dhanuskodi. Dhanuskodi is another town. So the train would move on, and at the same time you have to bundle the newspapers and throw out of the train, from the moving train. And casualty means like loss. Okay. That forced my cousin Samshuddin, who distributed newspapers in Rameshwaram, to look for a helping hand to catch the bundles, and as if naturally I filled the slot. Samshuddin helped me earn my first wages. So now, because of that situation, because the train was not going to stop at the Rameshwaram train station, so his cousin brother Samshuddin, who was working like distributing newspaper in Rameshwaram. So he looked for a helping hand, because now he had to bundle the newspapers and throw from the moving train. So he needed somebody who could help him. So basically he asked APJ Abdul Kalam to be a helping hand for him, and because he did that job, so APJ Abdul Kalam earned his first wages, means remuneration. Half a century later, I can still feel the surge of pride in earning my own money for the first time. So now APJ Abdul Kalam is thinking about his first wages, the first earning. Now he's saying that he can still feel the surge of pride. Surge of pride. Pride is like a sudden increase in the feeling of satisfaction. So, and half century means 100. Obviously, half a century means 50 years. So after 50 years, he is recalling those days when he earned his first wage, and he felt proud of it. So he basically became emotional of thinking those days, like before 50 years, when he earned his first wages. Every child is born with some inherited characteristics into a specific socio-economic and emotional environment, and trained in certain ways by figures of authority. I inherited honesty and self-discipline from my father, from my mother. I inherited faith in goodness and deep kindness, and so did my 3 brothers and sisters. So now, what APJ Abdul Kalam further says, he's saying that for a child, the figure of authority is his parents, and the next figure of authority can be his teacher, a person who has authority over the child. And now APJ Abdul Kalam is saying that whenever a child is born, he has some qualities which he gains from his family, from the elders, from the either it could be from parents or grandparents, and these depend upon the social status of the family and the environment at home. Obviously, like it depends on that what kind of family, what kind of environment you have at home, and what kind of surroundings you have in your area, which kind of community you are living, locality you are living in. From his father, so according to APJ Abdul Kalam, so he got something from his family. He got what he got: honesty and self-discipline from his father, and he got goodness and deep kindness from his mother. His siblings, I'm sure you must have heard this word, like brothers and sisters. So his siblings also inherited these qualities from their parents. So according to this, like all the children, including APJ Abdul Kalam and his brothers and sisters, had some good qualities from their parents. I had 3 close friends in my childhood: Rama Nadha Sastri, Arvindam, and Siva Prakashan. All these boys were from Orthodox Hindu Brahmin families. Brahmin is a caste, Hindu religion. I'm sure you know that, like we in Hindi call Brahma or Pandit. So these 3 friends of Abdul APJ Kalam, they belong to very strict follower or believer of Hindu Brahmin families. As children, none of us ever felt any difference amongst ourselves because of our religious differences and upbringing. So now he is recalling his past again. When he was child, he had 3 close friends, and according to him, none of them ever felt any difference amongst themselves because of their religion. Because APJ Abdul Kalam obviously was a Muslim, and these 3 friends, they belong to very strict Hindu Brahmin families. In fact, Ramanatha Sastri was the son of Pakshi Lakshmana Sastri, the high priest of the Rameshwaram temple. So now you can see that how strict family they would have been, because one of his friends, Ramanatha Sastri, he was son of Pakshi Lakshmana Sastri, who was the high priest of a temple in Rameshwaram. Later, he took over the priesthood of the Rameshwaram temple from his father. So his friend Ramanatha Sastri, his father Pakshi Lakshmana Sastri, earlier he was priest of the temple in Rameshwaram, but later on he took the priesthood, means he became the leader. He's become the main person in Rameshwaram temple, and which he acquired from his father. Aravindan went into the business of arranging transport for visiting pilgrims, and Siva Prakashan became a catering contractor for the Southern Railways. So his other 2 friends, who was the Aravindan, he started his business, and the business was arranging transport for the pilgrims. Because let me tell you now that Rameshwaram is famous for, is one of the pilgrims, like just like Haridwar and Prayag, Rudraprayag. So Rameshwaram is one of them. And his third friend, Siva Prakashan, he became a catering contractor for Southern Railways, meaning catering is like arranging food and things for any department. So he became catering contractor for the Southern Railways. During the annual Sri Sitarama Kalyanam ceremony, our family used to arrange boats with a special platform for carrying idols of the Lord from the temple to marriage site. Situated in the middle of the pond called Ramatirtha, which was near our house. So now further APJ Abdul Kalam says, describing that how they were living. So during the annual Sri Sita Rama Kalyanam ceremony, that's like an occasion when they celebrate something. So it's a Sri Sita Rama Kalyanam ceremony. So what his family used to do, his family used to arrange boats with a special platform for carrying idols of Lord from the temple to the marriage site. So they were basically into that kind of thing that they big. See, it is quite important you to keep that in mind, that because APJ Abdul Kalam was a Muslim and he belonged to a Muslim family. So even being a Muslim family, they used to arrange boats to carry idols of Lord, means like Bhagwan ki murtiyan, to carry from one place to another. So from the temple to marriage site, situated in the middle of the pond called Ramatirtha, which was near our house. So that was just in middle of the water, the pond, yeah, and that place is called Ramatirtha. Events from the Ramayana and from the life of Prophet were the bedtime stories my mother and grandmother would tell the children in our family. So like in everybody's family, it happens that when you're a child, then your mother or your grandmother tells you a story. But see the difference. So APJ Abdul Kalam's family used to tell prophets' stories at the bedtime. So before they go for sleep, he used to listen stories from his mother or grandmother, and those stories was about Ramayana and other prophets. One day when I was in the 5th standard at the Rameshwaram Elementary School, a new teacher came to our class. I used to wear a cap which marked me as a Muslim, and I always sat in the front row next to Ramanatha Sastri, who wore the sacred thread. Sacred thread, that's called like Janev. You must have seen the Hindu Brahmin people they wear. So now again, APJ Abdul Kalam recalled an incident when he was in 5th standard in the Rameshwaram Elementary School, and there was a new teacher appointed. And now he described how they looked like, the APJ Abdul Kalam himself and his friends. So APJ Abdul Kalam was wearing a cap that marked him a Muslim. Obviously, most of the Muslim they wear cap, and his friend Ramanatha Sastri who wore the Janeu, like I said, sacred thread. The new teacher could not stomach a Hindu priest's son sitting with a Muslim boy. So it was quite disturbing to the teacher. He could not appetite it, means like he could not adjust it. That how come a Hindu priest's son was sitting with a Muslim boy? In accordance with our social ranking as the new teacher saw it, I was asked to go and sit on the back bench. So because the new teacher didn't like that Hindu and Muslim sitting together, so the teacher asked APJ Abdul Kalam to go and sit on the back bench. I felt very sad, and so did Ramanatha Sastri. He looked utterly downcast as I shifted to my seat in the last row. The image of him weeping when I shifted to the last row left a lasting impression on me. So here the word like downcast means became sad or quite depressing. So like the new teacher, he did not understand, he did not tolerate that Muslim boy was sitting with a Hindu priest's son. So he asked him to go and sit on the back. So on that, both of them became quite sad and depressed. After school, we went home and told our respective parents about the incident. So when the school finished, obviously all the children went home. So APJ Abdul Kalam told that incident to his parents and his friend, the Sastri, the Hindu, like a priest son. He also told his parents. Lakshmana Shastri summoned the teacher. Lakshmana Shastri, the father of that boy, and in our presence told the teacher that he should not spread the poison of social inequality and communal intolerance in the minds of innocent children. So that day only Lakshmana Shastri, who was father of that boy, he summoned. Summoned means like called. So the teacher was called to come and see him. And APJ Abdul Kalam was also present there, and that boy also his friend. So they both were present there, and in their presence only Lakshmana Shastri told the teacher, the new teacher, warned that he should not spread the poison of social inequality and communal intolerance in the minds of innocent children. So basically what he tried to tell the teacher that he should not teach these boys the differences and inequality as per the religion or caste. He bluntly asked the teacher to either apologize or quit the school and the island. Bluntly means speaking something directly and in an honest way, means on your face. So he did not hesitate to ask this, that teacher, the new teacher, either he apologize, means he say sorry, or quit the school, means he must leave the school, and even the island. So he was not allowed to even stay on the Rameshwaram town. Not only did the teacher regret his behavior, but the strong sense of conviction Lakshmana Shastri conveyed ultimately reformed this young teacher. So, because the Shastri, Lakshmana Shastri, he was quite blunt in saying that either he should apologize or he should leave the school and the island. So by doing this, he basically taught the teacher and conveyed a message that he should not be communal, means he should not differentiate people as per their religion or caste. On the whole, the small society of Rameshwaram was very rigid in terms of the segregation of different social groups. Rigid means not flexible, strict, which cannot be broken or folded. So here it's for the society. So the society in that town, Rameshwaram, was rigid. So they were segregated in different social groups, like categorized with the caste, like Brahmins, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. However, my science teacher, Siva Subramania Iyer, though an orthodox Brahmin with a very conservative wife, was something of a rebel. So now, APJ Abdul Kalam is describing another incident. He had a science teacher whose name was Siva Subramania Iyer, and he was from an orthodox Brahmin family, but his wife was quite conservative and so like had different opinions. She was quite a strict believer or follower of her religion. He did his best to break social barriers so that people from varying backgrounds could mingle easily. So that science teacher, he tried his best to break the social barriers. So he tried to communicate people so that they can mix with each other, even though even if they are from different religion or caste. He used to spend hours with me and would say, Kalam, I want you to develop so that you are on par with the highly educated people of the big cities. So that science teacher used to spend some time with APJ Abdul Kalam, and he used to tell him that he wanted him to develop himself so that he was equal with the other people. One day he invited me to his home for a meal. Meal as either it could be dinner or lunch. So that science teacher, he invited APJ Abdul Kalam to his home for a meal. His wife was horrified at the idea of a Muslim boy being invited to dine in her ritually pure kitchen. So because in some religion caste, they obviously they do not allow, they have strict rules and regulations for their kitchen. So no one outside is allowed to enter the kitchen, make the kitchen dirty, apavitra, I would say in other words. She refused to serve me in her kitchen because APJ Abdul Kalam was a Muslim, so she refused to serve the food in the kitchen. Siva Subramania Iyer was not perturbed nor did he get angry with his wife, but instead served me with his own hands and sat down beside me to eat his meal. So, when his wife refused to serve him in the kitchen, the science teacher, he didn't get upset, he didn't get disturbed with the decision made by his wife that she didn't want to serve him food in the kitchen. So, instead of that, he served the food with his own hand, and he also sat next to him, beside him, to eat his meal. His wife watched us from behind the kitchen door. I wondered whether she had observed any difference in the way I ate rice, drank water, or cleaned the floor after the meal. So while they were eating together, the science teacher and APJ Abdul Kalam, the wife of the science teacher, was watching them from behind the kitchen door. And at that point, APJ Abdul Kalam was thinking about had she seen any difference how the science teacher was eating and APJ Abdul Kalam. So he was just wondering, he was just thinking that what she would observe from there. Was there any difference when he was eating the rice, the way he was drinking water, and even the way he cleaned the floor after finishing the meal? When I was leaving his house, Siva Subramania Iyer invited me to join him for dinner again the next weekend. Weekend means it's the last day, last 2 days of the week. It could be Friday, Saturday, both, or only Saturday. So the science teacher invited him again to come and have dinner with him next weekend. Observing my hesitation, he told me not to get upset, saying once you decide to change the system, such problems have to be confronted. When I visited his house the next week, Siva Subramania Iyer's wife took me inside her kitchen and served me food with her own hands. So when Abdul Kalam was invited by the science teacher again, so he got hesitated, he was hesitating, and the science teacher observed that hesitation. So he said that when you wanted to change the system, so you had to confront or face this kind of situation. So when he visited again next weekend, the science teacher's wife took him inside the kitchen and served the food herself. Then the Second World War was over and India's freedom was imminent. Indians will build their own India, declared Gandhiji. The whole country was filled with an unprecedentedly optimism. I asked my father for permission to leave Rameshwaram and study at the district headquarters in Ramanathapuram. So now the Second World War was over and Gandhiji had declared that Indians would build their own country. The whole country was filled with an unprecedented means never done or known before, like abhutpur, and optimism is like hope or cheer. So the people of the country were filled with like this feeling that these things never happened before. Obviously the freedom we were getting after a long period of time, and that had never happened before. So after that, APJ Abdul Kalam asked permission from his father to leave the town Rameshwaram and go to the district headquarters in Ramanathapuram for further study. He told me as if thinking aloud, Abdul, I know you have to go away to grow. Does the seagull not fly across the sun alone and without a nest? He quoted Khalil Gibran to my hesitant mother, your children are not your children, they are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. So when APJ Abdul Kalam asked permission from his father, so what his father said to Abdul, that he knew that he had to go away and to develop himself. And he gave examples of seagull, the birds, seagull birds. They fly and go from one place to another place without a nest. He also quoted Khalil Gibran to the mother of APJ Abdul Kalam. He addressed to her and he said that her children were not actually her children. They were sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. He said that they had come through her, but not from her. And she could give her love to them, but not her thoughts. So they have to be independent. They have to leave to recognize themselves what they are. They have to face the world. So this kind of advices his father gave to APJ Abdul Kalam, and that's all. This chapter is finished. It's bit long. I hope you understood the difficult words, and I've tried to show the images which could help you to understand it better and explain the difficult words for you. But if there is still anything left, you can always discuss with me in the Zoom class, or you can directly contact me on my WhatsApp number also by taking picture of the paragraph on the lines. Thank you very much. Stay safe. Bye bye.